we ready? Huh? Okay. Okay, everybody, we're going to get started. Okay. Well, welcome, everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Barb Bassett. I'm currently president of the Delaware Valley Ornithological Club, DVOC for short. To start, I just want to thank Molly Gross and where's Naveen? Naveen Sasi Kumar for setting this up and working together with the Academy. We've been meeting here as a club since 1890. So I am thrilled that we have started these programs and working hand in hand with the Academy on the programs. So we are also thrilled that Dexter could join us from Wisconsin. So really looking forward to his talk. So just a little bit about the club. Check out the website, dvoc.org. That's all you really need to know. Go there. There's tons of information about our programs, which are hybrid. You can either come into the Academy or watch them via Zoom. We have one more meeting before our summer break, and that's actually not going to be here. It's going to be at Cherry Street Tavern if you want to join us. So we also have partnerships with other organizations, Bird Safe Philly, and also if you're in Philadelphia and you don't have binoculars or a bird book and you want to get out there birding, check out the free library system. Okay, so a lot of the branches here in Philadelphia have the birding backpack. You can check that out for like 3 weeks at a time, okay? And I just want to let you know that all our walks, all our meetings, they're free, members, non-members alike, so come check us out. And if you would like to receive our weekly newsletter, again, you don't have to be a member, but it has a lot of information, not only about the DVOC, but birds and birding. And the reason we do this is we want to share our love of birds, okay, with everyone and anyone. So please check us out. And I'm always interested in any comments or suggestions, so you can always email me at president@dvoc.org. Okay, thank you. And now I'm going to have Jason Hall come up.
What's up, Philly? Hey! I hope y'all are ready to welcome my boy. I mean, I told him, I was like, listen, it's going to be a different kind of party you come out here. But I am super honored to have Dexter out here with us. He is first and foremost a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, and we met in person, years ago in 2022 on Little St. Simon's Island when we were invited down to a Black Birders retreat, and we got to be roommates and kind of geek out over owls hooting outside of our window and roseate spoonbills, Rosé spoonbills, you got to put a little something on it. But he is my friend first, to me. He is also a loving father and husband. And I'd say he's probably one of the top 2 most joyful people I've ever met. If you've ever met Nicole Seahorn Hameen, you also know, right? But Dexter is on that level. He is the co-founder of the BIPOC Birders Club of Wisconsin. He is a professor at the University of Wisconsin, and he does some pretty big stuff there. He teaches video, radio, podcasting, social media, documentary photography, and he does this for the undergraduate and graduate programs. So he is a professional, what we like to say. He is also, I would say, the originator of the Birdjoy podcast. He invited me to be a co-host, and it has been one of the most joyful things that I've ever done. And he, because of that professionalism and what he teaches, he makes sure we sound right. So I hope you all will listen. And most recently, he is the author of the Birds of the Great Lakes, a little bird guide that has come out recently. It was a #1 seller on Amazon in the ornithology category for a number of weeks. And so I hope you will go pick that up, especially if you are heading out there. All right, last but not least, I want to say this. Dexter is a good birder, and we talk about all these things around being a good birder and what that means. And for me, my friendship with Dexter and the way that he approaches birding is really informative on how he approaches humans. And so first off, Dexter will not shush you if you are out looking for birds and finding joy. And what that means is he's not going to quiet your soul. He's not going to quiet your spirit. He's going to let you express whatever that bird is putting into your heart, which is really incredible. He finds value in different birds, even if some of them are the same kinds of birds he's seen recently or often. He loves that. He spends time with them, right? And thus, he does the same thing for his friends and his birders. He wants to know who you are. He wants to know what makes you smile. He wants to know what birds you're excited about. He wants to know what you want to see next, because then that's what he's going to want to see next. And these are all signs that he is moving birding into the 21st century. And the last one is, when he birds, he is observant and appreciative. And thus he is the same way with the birders that he has out. If he sees your soul is not right, he wants to get you somewhere where it is. He wants to bring you bird joy. And he knows that it's just as important to pay attention to the people in his presence as it is the birds. And so that being said, if you could please give a big Philly welcome to my homie, Dexter Patterson.
Thank you, Philly. I told him, why are you trying to make me cry before my talk? I am so excited to be here. I am so excited. Welcome to Bird Joy for All. I am a firm believer that birding is for everyone, even you. So if you haven't been converted yet, after this talk, you will be a birder, all right? Warning, all right? Just letting you know. As they mentioned, I am the co-founder of the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin, co-host of the Bird Joy podcast with the amazing Jason Hall. Give Jason a round of applause. We got new episodes dropping every Friday, so send me the show notes, bruh, and that artwork for tomorrow. We got a really good one dropping tomorrow with Karina Newsom, so we're really excited about that. I am full-time faculty member at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I teach science communication. So my job is to teach the future scientists of the world how to communicate their work using media, because I feel like science has a communication problem, and we can use science communication kind of to bridge that gap and be a part of the solution. So I'm blessed to be able to teach these wonderful young people, from freshmen to PhD students, about how to communicate their work to the world. It is a blessing. But a lot of times people ask me, Dexter, why birds? Especially my homies from the hood when I grew up, where I grew up. They're like, birds? Birds? I'm like, yes, birds, bruh, birds. And the #1 reason is it boosts your mental health. Like, as a scientist, as a science communicator, the research is clear, right? It lowers your cortisol levels. It helps reduce anxiety. It gives you relief from depression, right? You get all of these benefits just from looking at little feathered birds, like these little things just flitting around in the trees and stuff. They just make you feel better. But it's bigger than the birds because you're getting vitamin D from the sun. You're breathing fresh air, right? You're maybe hearing running water. You're hearing laughter. You're hearing bird songs. Research also shows that if you live in an area where you get to hear birds calling, that also is bringing down your stress levels. So it is actually good for you. So that was one thing. As somebody that has battled mental health issues throughout my life, I found that this was my respite. Whether it was just for a little bit, right, that little boost of energy to keep you going to the next day, it's well worth it. So it's the mental health benefits, number one for me. It also gives you this environmental awareness, right? You start to realize that you're just one small piece to the puzzle in this beautiful universe. And I think once we start to do that, it really helps us get some appreciation for the world around us. I always tell people it's amazing. I tell my students this all the time. It's amazing what we see when we start to pay attention, right? When we actually just slow down a little bit and pay attention to the world around us, putting the screens down. I know for me, the person that teaches digital technology, and I make all these videos and stuff, but it's very important to step away from that sometimes and just be present in the world around you. That also slows down, right, the anxiety. When you're starting to live in the moment, it activates your conscious mind. And I try to do that every single day. I start my day with taking my dog on a walk. We do like a 2-mile walk every morning, and I do not bring my phone. I do not bring any type of technology at all. And I'm just one with my little house finch buddies that I see every single day. And I'm like, dude, you got redder. Or are you a different one? Or I just get all excited and I see him singing to his little wifey. And I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Or I see the little robin hopping around looking for worms. I get too excited. Yes, about the same old birds. But I'm paying attention to the world around me. We need to start paying attention to the world around us more. That includes the people. That includes our neighbors. That includes our friends. I always say check on your strong friend, right? Check on the friend that everybody thinks has their stuff together, right? Check on them a little once in a while, because I guarantee you they're not getting that message. They're not getting that phone call, and they probably need it. So that environmental awareness. But ultimately, I always tell people birding isn't about the birds, and they're like, what? What do you mean? It isn't about the birds. You're the bird guy. And you're telling me birding isn't about the birds? It's about the community. It's about the connection that I see, right? Some of the most fantastic people I've met in my life, I've met through birding. Jason being one of them, right? How many out in this crowd that are birders, how many of you have met somebody in birding that is now a friend? You see what I'm saying? So it's sometimes it's bigger than just the birds. It's the community, it's the connections that we get through the birds. My spark bird, when I always tell people, ask me this all the time, how long have you been birding? And I'm like, you know what? Ever since I was a little kid, I liked birds. I did. I would look at them. I didn't know much about them, but I thought they were cool. I used to get jealous because I used to want to fly, right? When I was a little kid, I remember having all these vivid dreams about me flying, and guess how I used to fly? So funny. I didn't have the cool, like, take off. Like, I had to actually flap my wings. So I used to be like, man, I wish I could fly. I wish I could fly. But it wasn't until about 10 years or so ago where I really started getting really into birds, and it was because of this bird. So I remember I'm scrolling, you know, they call it doom scrolling. I'm scrolling social media, and I see this. I see this bird. At the time, I did not know what this bird was. And this bird was flying faster than I ever seen anything flying in my life, and it's flying straight towards the water. And I'm like, man, my anxiety started tricking up a little bit. I'm like, what's this bird doing? Like, why is it flying towards the water? Birds ain't supposed to be in the water, not ones that fly, right? So it's just getting closer and closer and closer and closer to the water, and all of a sudden it locks out its talons. It locks out its talons, really, and I was like, whoa. Y'all know that emoji where your eyes get big? That was me. I was just like, what am I looking at? Like, this is fantastic. And then it hits the water. Whoa. Now I'm like, what is going on here? I'm questioning everything because it is completely submerged. It is completely submerged. I'm like, this bird is going to drown. This bird is going to drown. I'm like, why am I watching this? What is wrong with you, Dexter? Why are you watching this bird drown? You have issues. I'm like, oh my goodness, what is happening? And then all of a sudden, it comes up. Yeah, just like that. It comes up. and it looks right, and it looks left, and it keeps looking, and what it's looking for is a hater, right? It's looking for a hater. The bald eagle is the biggest osprey hater in the world. And it's looking for the bald eagle because the bald eagle can't hunt. It can't fish like the osprey. So when it tries to bully the osprey and take its snacks. So he's like, all right, no bald eagle. So it comes up a little further, and then all of a sudden its wings come out. And I was just blown away. And it starts flapping its wings and flapping its wings and flapping its wings, and it flies off with a big old fish, and it goes. Y'all know that emoji where your head blows up? I was that one now. I was like, what did I just see? What was that? And that was the moment where I was like, I am a bird nerd, because I don't know what that is, but I need to find out. I need to find out every single thing I can learn about this bird. Everything. Oh, everything. I was all in his business. I found out it was an osprey. And as I'm researching, I find out, wait a minute, they nest in my home state of Wisconsin. I was blown away. I was like, I've been living here my whole life, and I didn't even know this existed. This miracle, right? This miraculous creature lives literally 10 minutes from my house and has little bitty osprey babies every year. How is this possible? That day forward, folks, they call that your spark bird. Your spark bird is that bird that lights that fire in you, that makes you want to pay attention to the world around you, especially the birds. And I told myself after that day, I was going to learn as much about the osprey as I could, but every other bird possible. And I've been doing that ever since. So that is my spark bird, the osprey. That's what did it. And as I started getting into birding, I was just like, you know what? I need to go out. I need to learn more. So you got to surround yourself around people that know something, right? I didn't know nothing. So I started going to a lot of these traditional birding spaces, and I never felt welcome. I never saw anybody that looked like me at the events. I definitely never saw anybody that looked like me leading the events. And for me, that was a problem, because it started making me question whether or not birding is actually for me. Right? Like, is this for me, or is this just for old white people? Old white people that tell you to be quiet and are boring as hell and don't have no fun? I was like, ugh, what are y'all doing? Now I see why nobody that look like me go birding. Y'all are ridiculous. Telling people to be quiet. I'm talking about every single bird I would see, they call it a lifer, right? So every time I saw a new bird, I was getting fired up because I was brand new. And like literally I would go out, and every time I would go out, I would see like 20 new birds. And if you can't tell, I get a little excited. And I'm sitting there birding with these people like, yeah, yay. It's so beautiful. I just want to scream, right? I want to jump for joy. I want to celebrate. I want to hug the people next to me. And it just wasn't there. My mom always told me, Dexter, if you see a problem in the world, you either part of that problem or you're going to be a part of the solution. And I was like, the solution was the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin. Was creating a space where people like me, that look like me, that don't feel like they fit or just don't like the vibe of these stuffy traditional birding spaces could feel welcome. So we started the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin so all birders, black and brown birders, people in the LGBTQ plus community, people with disabilities, every single body felt welcome, every birder. And we take a completely different approach. And the reason for that was because I had experience as a new birder in these traditional spaces, and it sucked. It really was. It really made me not even want to go birding with people. So that was a little bit of the barrier before I got started, because when I first started birding, there was an extreme lack of diversity. Only 6% of black people said that they were birders. Only 8% of Latino Americans, Hispanic Americans said they were birders. That's a problem, right? For me, that was a problem. And I was like, nah, like we got to change that. We need to be able to create a community that people can show up to these spaces. And I love the phrase, if you can see it, you can be it. But I like to add on another element. If you can see it, you can be it, you can do it. And that's different. When people show up, and black and brown birders and young birders, they show up and they see somebody like me leading them, right? Really leading them. They see themselves. They feel like they're welcome. They feel like they belong. That changes the way they view birding. That changes the way they view nature as a whole. It was also during a time where a social justice movement in our country was just spreading. This was after the murder of George Floyd. This was also a year after one of our dear friends, Jason Christian Cooper, got targeted in the Ramble in Central Park by a woman that just said that Christian was threatening her. And thank God he was recording the whole thing, because she literally tried to put a threat on his life that day, and he was just in the park birding. That was it. And that created a movement led by an organization called Black AF in STEM. And they created Black Birders Week, which we are celebrating right now. Shout out to the homies at Black AF in STEM. Like, I felt seen, right? Like, that was an Osprey moment for me. Black Birders Week. I was like, wait, we got homies in Philly? We got homies in Chicago, New York, California, Texas, Georgia. Like, we were like all over the place. And that one of their first taglines was, "We out here." And I said, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, we are. And I was fired up after that, because that let me know that there was a lot of the homies out there that felt like me, that had always loved birds, that was always out here birding, but we didn't feel like we belonged in these traditional spaces, so we kept quiet. We kept to ourselves. And I always tell people, can you believe that I hid this from people for over a decade? Can you believe it? It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. But we said, all right, let's do this thing. So our co-founder, Dr. Jeff Galligan, and I, we decided we were going to book an event. We were going to book an event. This was a month after we went birding on Juneteenth. We didn't even plan it. And a month later, we booked our first event. We set our first event. I set up all of our social media. We got a little website in place. And we held our first event in July of 2021. And I was like, I don't know who's going to show up. Maybe it's just me and my kids. Who knows, right? But I was like, we're going to do this thing. And we did it, and we had like 16 people show up. And I was like, okay, we could do this. It was one of those moments where I was just like, not only proof of concept, but my heart was really full, because I was like, all right, we can be a part of the solution in our community. And as we getting together, we're doing our intros, and I'm like, hello, my name is Dexter Patterson. I use he, him pronouns. And I told them the Osprey story, folks, right? I was like, I got to tell them the Osprey story. It's like the coolest story I know as a birder. And I kid you not, within 10 minutes of us starting this walk, what bird you think showed up? And guess what it did? It snatched a huge carp out of the water in front of this entire group. I'm telling y'all, I walked around the rest of that event. Philly! No, I was like, whoa, this was meant to be. And I'm telling you, ask Jason, the same thing happened that biggest week. Osprey homie just comes all low, holding a fish, flies over our entire group. I lost my mind. Like it's the first time I ever seen it. Lost my freaking mind. And so did the group. I think it's one of those things you kind of rub off on people, because they were like, I didn't know I could have fun birding. Let's have fun. We saw so many birds. And guess what? They do not care. They do not care that I get excited. It's funny, I had somebody try to shush me on a trail once. I was like, bro, I see more birds than you, and I'll never be quiet. He shut up. I call them joy jackers. or ticks. Our approach, folks, we love new birders. So when we start our events, I always ask, after the intros, we try to make everybody feel welcome. And I always ask, are there any new birders in the crowd? And every single event we do, hands go up, multiple hands. And we clap for them. And we celebrate them, right? And we have so much fun. And immediately, those new birders, guess what they feel? They feel welcome. They feel seen. They realize they do not need to have all the answers. Because I tell them that. You do not need to be a pro. When those new hands go up, I always say, if you have a question, please ask. If you see a bird, point that out. You're being helpful. Right? Immediately, those new birders feel part of a community, even when I have birders showing up that got 20 years experience. Those brand new, as we call baby birders. I love the baby birders. I spend a lot of time with them. I spend a lot of time with them, and I spend a lot of time with the kids. I really spend a lot of time with the kids because I want, especially black and brown kids, I want to nurture that love in them early. Really early. New birders and kids. We are kid and family friendly. And people always ask me, how do you run birding events and you can let kids come? I was like, I just let them be kids. I let them run. I let them smile and laugh and have fun and look at flowers and animals and squirrels. Oh my. I just let them be kids. I give them some agency over the experience. I'll let the kids run the Merlin app, right? Which is really cool because they'll be like, oh, what was that noise? And then all of a sudden, the bird pops up on the screen. And they're like, I was out with my daughters one day. I love going, my two youngest daughters love to go birding with Dad. But we don't make it about the birds. We make it about the experience. And when you can give kids agency over the experience, it changes it. So I'll give them the Merlin app, and they're running around. Kids do the Merlin so funny. I love it. Like they're running around holding it as high as possible, right? I freaking love it. And all of a sudden, they heard this bird they hadn't heard before, and they looked at it on the screen, and it was like, Dad, it's a blue bird. I've never seen this one before. It's not the blue jay. I was like, well, what is it? What is it saying? It's an indigo bunting. Ooh, yes. Yeah. Uh-huh. And I was like, really? They're like, well, can you do your thing now? I'm like, what are you talking about? You know when you say you ready? Let's go? She's like, we need to go find it. I'm like, let's go. So we go find it, right? We'll use the Seek app. And the Seek app allows you to take pictures of flowers and trees and plants and stuff. And I'll let them take pictures of the plants that they're seeing. And I remember one day we were out and these little beautiful white flowers were blossoming. They were called trillium. And they were like, Dad, I've never seen this before, right? And we call these opening up windows to wonder. The one thing I love about kids is their curiosity. And a lot of times we stifle that in them way too early in life. And what we can do in nature is allow that curiosity to soar, right? So we open in these windows to wonder. And I'm like, yes, you can go climb that tree. I don't care if you roll in the grass. Yes, you can run, but please stay on trail, right? I got a little laser pointer, a green laser pointer I'll use with the kids every once in a while. And I never point it on a bird, but I'll point it within a couple of feet of a bird. And I'll let the kids use it and say, I need you to be my helper. Can you help me? I need you to be a leader. We also put kids in leadership positions. We hold our annual Black Birders Week event on Saturday, and one of our tour leaders is a 12-year-old black boy named Roman, leading a group of 30 people on Saturday, by the way. He led his first walk at age 10, Black Birders Week. So that's what we talk about, where you can see it, you can be it, you can do it. We always are looking to make our events as accessible as possible and to build a community, whether that means ensuring that we introduce ourselves using our preferred pronouns so our folks in the LGBTQ plus community feel welcome. If there's people that have disabilities and need maybe a powered wheelchair, we can facilitate that by collaborating with our local Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance. We do whatever we can to make our events as accessible as possible to help build that community where everybody feels welcome. We are relaxed and casual, right? We have some really serious birders in our group, some really fantastic birders in our group, but guess what? They smile, they laugh, they have fun. Everybody's at different levels at the events. Like I said, you may have some baby birders and some new birders, people in between, really expert birders, and everybody kind of gets what they need. We got a little something for everybody. We have multiple leaders. Shout out to our Milwaukee leader, Rita, Sean. They are fantastic, our Madison coordinator. So we always have people that can answer questions along the way. Our community thrives on being a community. I tell you what, we have a private Facebook group with over 1,300 people. I could stop posting today and that group would thrive. Right? They're a community. They take care of each other. They love each other. They support each other. We pick each other up. Every question gets answered. Not you just assume somebody knows something. That's a really easy way to turn people off in the birding community. And we love collaborating. I always tell people, especially right now, the people that are collaborating, folks, are winning. All right? If you're not collaborating and you're in leadership position at an organization, you will slowly start to lose, right? Funding's being cut in so many different levels across. So collaborating, especially on a local level, allows us to scale up, allows us to serve our communities in a greater capacity through collaboration. Our first event that we did, folks, the first group that reached out to us was the Feminist Bird Club. And I was so grateful for their help. The next one was then Madison Audubon, now the Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance, reached out to us. And they simply asked, what do we need? Right? Not trying to hijack what we were trying to create. They just said, what do you need? And now the Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance is our fiscal sponsor, allows us to operate as a nonprofit. They give us access to their communications team, to their staff. They are fantastic. And now all we have to worry about, folks, is building our community, getting people outside. This year, we launched our Bus to Nature program. We launched our Birding Backpack program. We're about to launch that program in Milwaukee as well. So we are focusing on doing the work. And I like to call it the Wisco Birder method. And I always tell people, you don't need to be a pro. If you are, that's great. That's great. The one thing I love about birds, you will never know all of it. There's always a learning opportunity. I don't care how much you know, they could drop you in South America, you'll be like, huh? Drop me in the middle of Arizona, where am I? You know? So that, I think as an educator, as a lifelong learner, that's one of the things I love most about birding, is you're always learning. And if you think you know it all, you're in the wrong space. I definitely don't want to bird with you. Like those people that think they know everything, they're the worst birders. Right? They think they know everything. They're literally miserable inside. They are looking for that joy that they used to get. And they allowed it to seep out of their body like it was Voldemort sucking something out of them. They miss it, trust me. They miss getting excited for the common birds. They miss celebrating lifers. They do, but they allowed their joy to be sucked out. You don't need to be a pro. I always say just look for movement. Stop trying to tell people, look at that branch you see. It's moving this way and the shadow hitting it over here and the wind's blowing it this way. It's right there. You don't see it? How don't you see that? See, now it's in this branch that moves this way and that way. No. Right side of the tree, look for movement. Just be waiting for a little bit. Much easier. Now I say, listen for the music, especially this time of year. The birds make some fantastic music, right? So now you're marrying music with sound. Now you're cooking, right? Now you're cooking with some real fish grease. And then I always say sometimes birding isn't about the birds. It's about that community. It's about meeting new people. I love seeing at our walks, at our outings, when people meet each other for the first time, and then like a couple weeks later, I see them post on Facebook and they went birding together. 2 or 3 people. Now they got bird buddies. I freaking love it, right? That's community. That's community. Now people are able to go out and realize that there is a lot of bird joy waiting for you out there. I use social media to make birding more accessible as well. My You Ready, Let's Go videos have generated millions of views over the years. And what it's allowed me to do is reach people. Folks, I've reached people that will send me messages that have me crying like a baby sometimes. I'm bedridden. I can't get out anymore. Thank you for this. I can't get to places like that. My legs don't work like that anymore. I can't hike, right? And I started remembering, like, when I was getting those messages, I was like, well, thanks for joining me. And that became a thing that I say at the end of every video now, because I realized that there are people that are going on these adventures with me, like they're really with me. They're really with me, and it's fantastic. And that's kind of what keeps me going. And the educator in me, being able to teach people about these birds, teach people about the habitats and the places to find them and fun facts about these birds. Because I always say, once you start to pay attention, then you start to do. And it's amazing what people start to do when they care about something. When you're paying attention to something, you start to care a little bit more. And now you can get people to do something, whether it's donating or volunteering, citizen science projects, coming out to outings, connecting with the community and making connection with the birds. I love doing pop-up events as well, where I was like, you know what, I'm going birding on Saturday. It's not a scheduled event, but hey, you want to meet me at Picnic Point, which is one of my favorite spots in Madison, and I may have 5 or 6 people pop up and go birding with me. That's a lot different experience than 40. Right? Where I'm out birding with like a couple of the homies and we're exploring together. I love doing stuff like that. But most importantly, I always encourage people to have fun. Because if they have fun, they'll come back. The new birders will come back. The kids will go home and say, Mom, Dad, birding was fun. Can we go again? Because we're not making it about the birds. We're making it about an experience, an outdoor experience. Birds are just part of it. Right? And I don't force feed birds on my kids. I don't force feed birds on anybody. I wait for them to ask me the questions. I don't assume that they want more. Maybe they just, I literally have people that come to our outings just because they want to go on a walk. They could care less about the birds. But they love the community. They love seeing black and brown people. They love seeing kids. They love seeing somebody that looks like them leading. They love to see smiles and laughter. They love exploring new places. And I promise you, it's funny. So all those people that tell me they just like to go on hikes, they're like, Dex, is that a king bird? Got him. Is that a chickadee-dee-dee-dee? You know? So eventually it gets them because they start to pay attention because they had fun. And as we started thinking about how can we spread this bird joy further and further and further, we launched the Bird Joy podcast. We are now in our 3rd season, Jason, which is kind of crazy to think about. Our 3rd season of this podcast, where we're bringing together bird people across the country. This year, too, we're also opening it up to more STEM folks, not just bird folks, but really highlighting black and brown folks that are doing incredible work in the outdoor spaces. This podcast, you can listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. We drop new episodes every Friday. I highly encourage you to listen to it. We nerd out. We nerd out, but I promise you, you're going to learn something. You're going to laugh. You might cry. Some episodes, we get on some deep topics. But this Bird Joy podcast, that's the next way that we can continue to show people that birding is for everyone. Our events, so we host monthly events in Madison and Milwaukee in Wisconsin. We also do specialty events like citizen science type events like Christmas bird counts and things like that. We host Black Birders Week events every single year. Top left, you can see that is Christian Cooper. I mentioned Christian as one of the inspirations for us starting our club. We were able to bring him to Wisconsin in April. And where we're at there is Horicon Marsh National Wildlife Refuge, which is the largest freshwater cattail marsh in America. So it's one of those special places. Whooping cranes nest here. And I was able to take Christian to this place when he was in town. What you see on the right is Christian with Roman. Right next to Roman is his sister Willa, and on the right of Christian is Joy. Joy? Yeah. I always say that to her, and she just smiles. But fun fact about these kids, they are the future, right? When I talk about birding creates leadership opportunities for these kids, Roman not only is leading Black Birders Week events like tours, Joy has been birding since she was 2 years old. So she's a pro. Every year we are hosting songbird banding events for our club. Joy is one of the banders, and she's been banding birds for like now almost 7 years. She's 14. So she started banding birds at age 7. Let me tell y'all a fun story about Joy. So she's literally one of the kids. She walks over to the mist net. So they capture the birds in what we call mist nets, keeps them safe. She gets the bird in the bag, right, this breathable bag. She does all this on her own. Not nobody holding her hand or telling her how to do it. She comes back with the bag. She's holding it. She's showing it to a couple people. And they're, oh, nice little Nashville warbler you got there. It's nice, it's nice. I was one of those people too. Don't tell nobody. So she's like, this ain't no Nashville warbler. Mind you, at the time of this, she was 12. And she's telling people with 20 years experience, this ain't no Nashville warbler. She opens it up. It ain't no Nashville warbler. It was a Connecticut warbler, right? And this was the first time this warbler had been banded in 49 years on this property. And it was the little brown girl, Joy, that discovered it, that checked all the other. I always say it was in a bag. That's why I didn't get it. But what's so beautiful is she had the confidence to tell everybody there, no, you're wrong. And none of us cared. We got excited. We went crazy. First time in 49 years, and you're the one to do it. And that year, every year we hold a birdathon with the Natural Resources Foundation in Wisconsin. And the bird that year on their T-shirt was the Connecticut warbler, folks. So it was like this serendipitous moment of not only did she get it, this was the first time that this ever been captured on this property. And my birding mentor, Bob Welch, he recently passed away. This top left is the day that we did that. Bob is the one laid out on the bottom next to my youngest daughter with his arm around her. That's the type of community that I'm talking about. People of all walks of life together, smiling, loving each other, educating each other, all in it together. And that event is in rural Wisconsin. You know, a lot of people the melanated people in that picture, including myself, we ain't feeling rural Wisconsin. But Bob made us feel welcome. We found our people there. He opened up his property, his home, everything to us. And what you see on the right, I host monthly BIPOC only walks as well. We got 40 black and brown people at Picnic Point that I just mentioned at one of my favorite spots a few weeks ago. At the bottom is one of my daughters, Alyssa, releasing an American kestrel at one of our events. I promise you, you let a young person hold a falcon and release it, they will never be the same. You see Dad, proud papa, right? Proud papa. But we do those type of things, and we try to create opportunities for everybody in our community. We have people that come to our BIPOC only walks that do not come to our other events. That's the vibe they want, and I'm here for it, right? But I'm creating something for everybody in the community. This is inclusive birding in action. I like to say, like, what does inclusive birding look like? It looks like this. People of all walks of life, a powered wheelchair, right? Like all these different things happening. This is what I mean when I say birding is for everybody. There's no reason that we can't do these things. You don't have a powered wheelchair? I promise you there's an organization in your community that does. And I bet if you reach out to them, they say, yeah, we'll work with you. That's what we do. We don't own that. But we have partners in the community that are willing to bring that out for us. You can see Christian in the middle, one of the bird outings in Madison that he did with us. I mentioned earlier we launched our birding backpack program. We took our backpacks to low-income neighborhoods in our city, community centers and organizations that serve underrepresented kids, kids with free or reduced lunch. We really want to make sure that those organizations felt seen, felt heard. So we started there. We also just launched our Bus to Nature program, inspired by In Color Birding and Jason and his club, where we are paying for transportation to get people to places like Horicon Marsh and all these wonderful places outside of the city. Because a lot of times when I talk to program managers and event coordinators, the number one obstacle that they say they have is transportation. They just can't get there. It's not that they don't want to get the kids there, they just don't have the resources to get them there. So that's something that we're really working on now with the Bus to Nature program, and just continuing to build relationships and partnerships in and around our state. That's so important, so important. Our Bird and Backpack program, we partner with a women-owned outdoor company called Fontana Sports for our backpacks. They're Osprey bags, by the way. Yes, I picked the Osprey, yes. It is, hey, it's a fantastic backpack too, but it says Osprey. Got me. Environmental justice. This is important as I sit here with you all, day 5 of Black Birders Week, really understanding that representation matters in nature and that safe spaces lead to healing. These BIPOC only walks that I host every month, I'm telling you, they're different. The jokes are different, right? The conversations are different. The vibes are different. Like, everything we do is different. And I love it. I love it. So it's really important to understand that there are times that you need to be intentional in the spaces that you create. And that starts, I get a lot of organizations asking me, well, how can we get more people of color that want to come to our walks? I said, well, maybe you shouldn't lead it. And sometimes they're like, whoa, I never thought of that. Yeah, bring somebody like Jason, right? You in Philly, you need somebody to help you. You got to step outside of your comfort zone. I tell my students this all the time. You will not reach your full potential in your comfort zone. Sometimes we got to reach a little bit further, and sometimes that means stepping outside of our comfort zone and giving up power to people to actually do the work. There are a lot of people, well-intentioned people, that just want to be a cook in the kitchen. That doesn't work, right? You really want to see change, give the people that can do the work the resources to do the work, and the needle will move. Very, very important. Equity makes birding better for everyone, including the birds and their habitats and their homes, because whether people like it or not, our country is browning. And guess what? We need the folks who are going to be here long term to care about birds and the environment and nature. We need them. We need them now, right? I think that's why I'm so passionate about getting the kids involved, because it's for them. I want my babies to be able to enjoy these birds and their habitats. Habitat destruction is crazy right now. So we got to do that. Their habitats will benefits. Citizen Science Project, this is me and Bob actually doing northern saw-whet owl banding. Just me and Bob in rural Wisconsin. That night we had 11 owls, freaking fantastic. But these citizen science related events really change the game for kids too, because they really shows that you can make a difference. It really shows that caring about birds and protecting their habitats makes a difference. And that really changes them, and also shows to people like Roman. Roman said he knew he wanted to study birds when he was 2 years old. Joy, same way. But now he also knows that being an ornithologist is cool. We make him feel cool, because he is cool. Roman is an OG. I tell people, he show up to his birding event, he a young boy with a notebook. And he takes notes. He ain't using no Merlin. He literally is writing down what he wants to see, what he saw, bird behaviors. Like, this little dude is fantastic. And he's the future. And these type of things really help them tap into that curiosity. When I talk about stepping outside of your comfort zone, I like to get people out of their comfort zone. This is Loki the Crow. we collaborated with a organization outside of Milwaukee, a raptor rehab facility. And actually, Loki is one of their birds. And Loki likes to paint. I know. So we all sat in a circle around Loki as Loki hopped around, grabbing his little colors. He'll paint one, boop, 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 dab a little bit, take that one back, go get another color, boop, 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 boop. Literally painted a masterpiece in front of us. Talk about a birding experience. One of our members was there. Her name's Christine. She's an art teacher. I got her. Hey, y'all know what's coming. I talked to our partner. I was like, you think we could get that to Christine? So they were like, yeah. They'll auction those off, like for fundraising for the organization. And they presented it to Christine after the event. She bawled. She ugly cried. Yeah, ugly cried. But these are the type of things that we can do through birds and making these encounters different. That change of scenery. This was us with Christian out at the Horicon Marsh. Many of the folks that came here had never been to Horicon Marsh. In their Madison residence. It's 35 minutes away. Isn't that crazy? Like, that's not that far. But we carpool. We make sure that people had opportunities to get there to experience this with Christian. It was fantastic. Birds in the classroom, folks. I always tell my students before the start of the semester, I'm like, you're going to learn a lot about science communication, and I'm going to talk to you about birds too. It's a great way for me to make the curriculum fun and engaging. I'll talk about bird species, habitats, migration patterns, adaptations, how I use social media and media to educate people through science communication through birds. So it's it's my thing, but I get to, pour into the students a little bit with that as well. So birds are a great, great way to teach people and a student. Here is Joy in action, folks. That's Joy on the left, blowing on a brood patch. She was 12 years old. I know, every time I'm like, on the right, Joy and my daughter Alyssa, working the banding station together. Do you see any adults messing with them? You don't. We empower little girls, especially black and brown girls. We empower them. Women, just like people of color, have been underrepresented and appreciated in birding for a long time. A very long time. Made to feel uncomfortable. Always questioned, mansplained to. God, please stop that. She knows what she's talking about. They know what they're talking about, people. Leave them alone. Can't tell you how many of my members hate the mansplainers. Joy jackers. Ticks. Leave them alone. But just understand that these type of experiences will change these kids, will change people when you really are intentional about these things. Fun, right? When I talk about holding a kestrel, but learning about them. Anybody ever seen a little kestrel baby? Oh my God, don't they look like little Muppets, little angry Muppets? They're so adorable. But I promise you, these type of opportunities change people. It lets them know what's possible. It opens up windows to wonder for them, to the world. I mentioned the benefits of birding, but the research is clear. Those physical health benefits are out there and waiting for you. The mental and emotional well-being benefits are out there and waiting for you. That connection to the natural world is out there and waiting for you. That joy and the social and community benefits, that community is waiting for you. The learning opportunities, the educational opportunities are out there waiting for you. And you can be a part of a future that builds a more inclusive and welcoming birding community that looks and represents like the birds that we all love. I always say, it ain't a whole bunch of just white birds in the world. They all colors, shapes, sizes. Some can fly, some can't. Some are super fast, some slow as hell. Some are super skinny. It's everybody. And that's how the birding community should look. It's all about bringing people together. What you see here is our annual Swift Night Out event that we do. And we partner with the Feminist Bird Club of Madison and the Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance. We've been doing this event for 4 years. Over 300 people this last year, right? And what's so cool is this literally an experience. People bring their picnics, right, their blankets. So they bring out their chairs. Some people got those fancy chairs where they can go like this, right? And we just watched the swifts. And I don't know if anybody has ever seen the swifts come in to roost at night, but they create what we like to call a swift NATO. And they start swirling around the chimney, and as they get faster and faster and faster and start going into the chimney, we're like, go, 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 go. And the whole crowd is like, go, 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 go. Of course, I lead it, right? It's like a fireworks show. It's like a fireworks show of birds. And I know people be driving by like, what the heck is going on? It ain't no soccer game. What is happening? We've had neighbors come out and ask us, what is happening here? Educational opportunity. We get to tell them that you have these amazing birds that choose this chimney near you every single year. And now they're paying attention to the chimney swifts. Now they're a part of the working group in the community that is working to save that chimney. They want to take it down. Right? But once you start to show people that it creates life, that you show people why it's important, the why, right? The why always changes people. And if we can educate them and give them an experience, you imagine taking like a city council member to that? In the BIPOC only walks, my alder actually came to that walk. Was afraid to go out in the woods, like, Dexter, where you got me? She's from Chicago, never been on a hike in her life. Now she's going hiking. Now she's going hiking. But ultimately, folks, we've been working really hard. This is Birds and Blooms magazine, the biggest birding magazine in the country. I love the headline, the flyest birder. I said, yep, I'll work with you again. I get so many questions about this photo. So I figure I'll show y'all a little behind the scenes. We all friends here, right? Don't tell nobody. This is the setup. We're working with the screen. They brought in the evergreens. We actually won gold for this photo from the Milwaukee Press Club Awards for this Birdman article in Madison Magazine. But that joy look, they're like, Dexter, if there's a bird that you want to see really bad, Kirtland's warbler. He saw it, I didn't. Yeah. I told him to make it stay in Ohio for 3 more days. He didn't. It's your fault. They're like, it's going to fly in the corner and act like you see it. And I was like, I got you. I could do that. Kirtland's warbler right there. Boom. And Patrick Stutz, the photographer, amazing photographer, was able to capture that moment. And then all the little birds around it are actually birds I photographed in some of my outings, so it was a really fun collaboration. So there's the behind the scenes on that one. But ultimately, folks, it's about the birds. And I love that every single bird that I see, I can remember where I was. I can taste things. I can feel how I felt when I was there. I can remember who was with me, the experience, right? The birds are what it's really about. No matter what it is, what type of bird, it doesn't matter. It can be rare birds. It can be normal birds. Hey, Jason, remember that osprey? That's the one from Little St. Simon's Island. They're like, Dexter, there's your osprey. But it's about the birds. Ultimately, it's about the birds. And those birds, folks, once you start to pay attention, you start to see, you saw every single bird that I showed you was so different. All beautiful. But it's about the joy. There's Roman, folks. This was last year's Black Birders event. We collaborated with an organization called Who's Woods, and they rehab raptors. And one of their birds is a peregrine falcon, and that's Roman's favorite bird. I knew that they were bringing the peregrine. So I sat with my camera. I was creeping on Roman. And they opened that box up, and him and Willa both, whoa, right? Bird joy. Top left, that's my daughter Victoria holding a chickadee-dee-dee. On the right, that's my daughter Alyssa with a blue jay. And a couple of our other members. You know, so if you hold a chestnut-sided warbler, you ain't never gonna be the same. You hold any bird, I promise, I don't care what it is, and you release it, and you feel like it's magic. You have a connection to something greater than you. Bird joy. I want you to pay attention. What do you see in these photos? Smiles. What else? What kinds of people? All kinds, right? All kinds of people together, all different ages, all different shapes, sizes, colors, smiling and having fun together. Bird joy, folks. Like, look at this. That picture on the left was my woodcock walk this year. We saw 12 birds. There was a whole bunch of joy jackers in my comments like, how you seeing birds with all those people? I said, guess what? We saw 12. How many did you see? Pink. Joy jackers, man. Another thing that I was able to do this year, our BIPOC only walks. I got black people in the snow. Look at this. But look at what you see. We don't do cold and snow. We do now. Look how happy they are. This was February. It was 10 degrees this day. It was cold. But we made sure that people were prepared. We let them know what you needed to have, what type of gear, and we planned it. We helped people out. We made sure they didn't show up in just tennis shoes, right? So change of scenery, very important. Ultimately, it's about the joy. That's Black Birders Week last year. Just bringing people together, you know. This was also an event. People got to meet the peregrine falcon. There was a golden eagle. There was a great horned owl, the peregrine falcon. So they got to meet and see some really amazing birds up close and personal. But they got to do it with a whole bunch of people that look like them. My call to action for all of you today is to share your spark bird story with somebody. Because along the way, some people, they kind of lose their joy. And if you could get back to that spark bird story, right, your osprey story, share that with people. Share that with people, and maybe that gets you back in your groove. If you don't have one yet, go get one. Go get one. Go get that spark bird. I also say stop birding with the same exact people all the time. Invite somebody new. Coworker, neighbor, Facebook friend that you ain't met. I say, you know how many homies that I've known on Instagram, and I meet them in the wild and I lose my mind? I love it. Ain't nothing like meeting somebody in the wild. But the last thing I would say is never, ever jack somebody's joy. Don't be the bald eagle trying to snatch somebody's snack, right? Don't be a joy jacker. Don't be like, oh, that's just one of those. Oh, it's just this. Because what if there's somebody around you that ain't never seen that bird? And you literally are suffocating their joy in that moment. And that's really selfish. Keep that to yourself. Check yourself in that moment like, why am I doing this? Why am I trying to poo-poo somebody else's excitement? I saw 10 of those last week. So what? Nobody cares. Definitely not the person that ain't never seen one. We got to stop that. Also want to mention really quickly, I did write my first book. Shout out to Timber Press and the Hatchet Book Club. Birds of the Great Lakes is available for pre-order right now. We were #1 for a few weeks. Really excited about this. I wrote this book very similar to how I do my videos, where I introduce the bird, teach people about the habitats, give a fun fact, some photos. So I'm really proud about this. Also the first black man that I can find that has written a field guide. So that's a pretty big deal. I got flyers out there on the table and things for you to take. I'll also be going up there because I want to meet some of y'all, take selfies with y'all. But thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Can you all hear me? Well, Dexter, thank you so much. That was such a fun, energetic talk. I don't think anybody needs coffee. I think I might start listening to you in the morning so that I wake up as soon as I get out of bed.
Good thing Jason and I got a new episode of the podcast dropping in the morning.
I'm sure a lot of people have questions, so I'm not going to take too much time, but I do have a question before we get started. But if people have questions, I think raise your hands, and we'll get mics out to you, I think. But I know you have some background in music, right?
I do.
Okay. Have you done anything to connect? Music brings people a lot of joy as well as birds. Have you thought about connecting your music background with your birds?
I mean, a lot of my earlier videos were literally me singing, dancing, and rapping in the woods. I just put on one of my favorite songs, and I'm like out just vibing, not really doing nothing, just showing people like the environment around me. So I think so. And also when I speak and do different things, I've done concerts with 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people. So I try to bring that kind of same energy that I had on the stage as a musician to these type of things, and I am working on some stuff that y'all might see soon, bird related. So
exciting.
Dropping something.
Cool. We'll look forward to it. All right. Do people have questions?
First of all, let me just tell you something, Dexter. I didn't even think I was going to be like a no bird thing, okay? I'm going to let you know. I'm 62 years old, and I'm sitting here listening to you realizing, I've been a bird all my life. What's going on? So I got a bird in the hood stories, because I live in the hood. But I live here in Philly, near Fairmont Park. And I had a house in near the University of Penn, University City. My what you call it, spark bird, was when I walked outside of my house. I was taking my kids to school, and I seen there was an SUV parked across the street, and I seen something, and it was a bird standing on the sidewalk, the size of the tire of the SUV. I was like, wait a minute. I seen pigeons. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I raised my kids here. I ain't never seen no bird that close to me. That bird flew up in the air, caught a pigeon, and then all I saw was feathers and bones drop right there where I was. Much respect to the birds. I want to ask you, because when my first inkling, I came to this because I saw the sneaker ball on Saturday. And I said, that sounds like something different. I'm getting ready to retire. I need to walk a little more. I live across the street from Fairmont Park. And I said, well, I might as well come do your talk, see what that's about. You said this was 4 years ago, so clearly you was already teaching and all that kind of stuff. Did you also come to birding that way, or you was in birding clubs, other birding clubs before, and then decided to do this?
Yeah, so I always say, when people ask me how long have I been birding, I say seriously probably the last 10 years. But 10 years before that, I was paying attention. And I was just not telling people. right? Like, I was just like, man, the homies ain't gonna like birds. Dex, you like birds? I'm a like hip hop artist touring all over the country. Like, what I look like being a birder? And then now I see Big Boy from Outkast, right? He has all these owls. He's making Hootie Hoo movies and stuff, and I'm like, man, what if I did tell people 20 years ago when I was touring the country as a hip hop artist that I like birds and started sharing it out sooner, right? So I actually kind of regret not sharing my bird joy for a long time, but the reason I didn't is because I didn't see nobody like me, right? I grew up in neighborhoods similar to you where we didn't have a lot of green spaces. I didn't see black and brown people going outside in nature and stuff like that, so I never really had that growing up, but I was always curious. So I didn't have it, and then when I went searching for it, I still didn't see me in a lot of these places, so that's what inspired us to create a space and be a part of the solution, because I was like, I love this too much, and I had started sharing some of that stuff on social media way before, a couple years before I started the birding club. I was doing Wisco birder stuff. So I was sharing it and teaching people about birds and things like that, but I was just like, enough is enough. So that was the big inspiration of trying to really move the needle in our own communities by starting the club. You're very welcome.
Was the Osprey 10 years ago or before that?
Yeah, the Osprey was about 12 years ago.
Okay. But you were birding before that.
Yep, paying attention. But yeah, but that Osprey moment was like, that was it.
Where was
so
that?
Last 10, 12, it was on social media.
Oh, it's on social media.
Yeah, and I
Right,
saw
right.
that, and I was like, oh my, like, this is crazy.
And where was your first real-life Osprey?
First real-life Osprey, 10 minutes from my home.
Wow.
At a
Nice.
place called Cherokee Marsh. Because as I was doing the research, they were like, Dexter, you know, like, they live here. And people were telling me where I can see them, so I went to Cherokee Marsh, and I saw it, and it was just like, this is crazy.
So yeah, I also wanted to share, I guess it is a bird spark kind of story. It's the first time that I realized that they might be interesting to follow and to look at. Also grew up in Philly, inner city kid, was out in Tucson with my Chihuahua, walking my Chihuahua. And I saw I don't even know what kind of bird it was, I guess a hawk, come down and pick up a little mouse and then take off, and I was like, that could have been my dog. I could have been. They say you need to watch out for hawks here. Now I see why. It blew my mind. It blew my mind. Just
Yeah.
these massive, strong, fast birds. And I was telling my partner, I've done a lot of hiking in my life, and I'm always the token. I'm always the only black girl, only the black person, and it fills my heart with joy to know that, you know, he's interested in birding and I love outdoor space, and we can not be the only black folk out there doing it. I just Forrest Gumped ourselves to this situation tonight, and just thank you for everybody that's a part of the BIPOC community and making this accessible.
Wow. Jason and I were talking that 20 years from now, when kids black and brown kids are asked, well, who inspired you in birds? They're going to have multiple people that they can talk about.
That's amazing.
Right? They can say, oh, this person and this person and this person. So we're breaking a cycle. And I love it. He's breaking a cycle in Philly. We got people all over the country. There are clubs sparking up all over Wisconsin, Detroit, Philly, Atlanta, like California, Texas. There are people, Canada, the homies. Like, we got people everywhere creating these spaces for people, and it's changing the way that the outdoors are going to look
I
moving
can
forward.
just be myself. I always thought I had to be like, shh, quiet. And
Yeah.
That's not how black folk are.
No.
So, just
We need to be
that-
able to be ourselves.
Be
and-
ourselves.
Yeah.
But my quick question is, just in terms of faux pas, your thoughts, because we're new to this culture. We have dogs. Do people ever bring dogs along?
Yeah. So Asha, the Rottweiler, comes to a lot of our walks. We have Josh and Michelle. Shout out to them. And when we go to parks that allow dogs, they bring Asha. And it's so fantastic. She's so sweet. So yeah, we got pictures with a Rottweiler at some of our events, just like changing the narrative, right? So yeah, I think if it's a park that allows dogs, bring your dog. That's part of who you are, and make that experience about you all. You're welcome.
Did you have any idols, like birding idols, when you first started birding, or was sort of a vacuum? You didn't know too many other.
You know, I'd say when I started researching, I picked up David Sibley's books, Ken Kaufman, and it's pretty cool because, like, I didn't see themselves in me, but their work is so fantastic, and as I was learning the illustrations and learning about these different birds, they were very instrumental, and I actually got to meet Ken at the Biggest Week in Birding last week, and, like, had dinner with him and his wife, and, like, I was just, like, kind of like, this is Ken Kaufman? So I was kind of, like, nerding out a bit, but they were so gracious to me and basically saying, like, dude, you're the future, like, I think all good leaders create new leaders, and they pass the torch, they give, they fill them up with their knowledge, and they celebrate their success. And to meet somebody like Ken in real life, to be that gracious to me, they offered to send whatever we need for our birding backpacks in Milwaukee. And same with David Sibley. Like, I went birding with his son, Evan, in Madison. And I actually talked to David on the phone, and, like, I could text him and, like, talk to these people. His son, Evan, works for Bird Collective, which is really cool, one of my favorite organizations in the birding community. So, like, to be able to make connections with people like that get it. Like, those two old white guys get it. They get it, and I love them for that. But they were huge inspirations for me. And I'd say beyond that, like, the launch of Black Birders Week, I was just inspired by Christian and Dr. J. Drew Lanham, somebody that's very inspirational and influential in my life with his readings and things like that. So just really inspired by what I'm seeing every single year now with Black Birders Week. So shout out to Black AF and STEM.
Any other questions? Yep.
Hey, this talk was really cool, so thank you. Everybody else had a really cool, like, spark bird story, and mine is a pigeon. So
I love that, though.
So I was wondering if you had any advice for people who are interested in maybe, like, more urban bird watching.
Yeah, I always tell people, like, people always ask me, where should I go? And I say the best place to go birding is around where you live, because it's fantastic. Download the Merlin Bird ID app and just be like a little kid and run around your neighborhood like this. And then you'll look at it and you'll say, I have 14 species of birds around my house the whole time? This whole time? Like, that's what kind of really blows people's minds, where they just like, these birds, all these different birds have been around me, even in the city, right? The whole time. And it really kind of changes you, because you're just like, holy, right? This is crazy. So I would just say, just do it. I always tell people, go on your porch if you got a porch. Go walk around your neighborhood. Go to the closest park near you. Just take a walk around the block. Whatever you got to do, start there and then branch out. Because it's fantastic what you start to see when you pay attention.
I'll add something. I don't drive. I live in Philly, and almost all my birding is within Philly. So there's a lot of birds to see without going very far. You can check out Bird Philly, post a lot of bird walks all around the city from various different clubs as well. So
urban birding is fun too. Like, he was showing me, like, where the peregrine falcons are nesting around here in the downtown area. Like, you see a peregrine falcon, like, on your Capitol building, like, that's kind of cool, yeah, like, urban birding is just a different vibe, and I kind of love it. So.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I really enjoyed your talk. I'm just wondering, as someone who leads walks, I was struck by what you said in the beginning, that you didn't feel welcome in the beginning, and I'm wondering what leaders can do to make people feel welcome, if you had suggestions.
Yeah, you know, I think it's different, but I'll just speak as a black man. For me, it was just not seeing people that look like me there, right? Immediately, like I go there and I'm like the only person, like she mentioned, feeling like a token, feeling othered before I even did anything, right? So that is the big barrier. I think is a lot of groups just don't have much diversity in their club. So if somebody outside of that normal group that they have, when they show up, they're like, eee. And it kind of makes you feel nervous. You may not ask as many questions. You may be way more reserved. You may not let your joy out. You may not be yourself. And if you can't be your full self, it's really hard to have fun. It's really hard to enjoy an experience if you can't be your full self. So I just always tell people to really be more proactive in the leadership of the club and putting people that of different backgrounds in leadership positions is really important, especially as guides. I think that's really important. I think that's where the collaboration can come in handy for a lot of people, is collaborating with people that don't offer what you offer, that offer different things. And sometimes you can scale up. You can do bigger things and bring more people together. So I would say really think about the leadership. Think about also the marketing and the promotion of how you market it. Who's on the flyer, the language that you use, the locations are also really important, because a lot of folks, like if you live in a city, if it's off the bus line or somewhere out, you know, and you got to drive out, and it's just not going to happen for them. So being really intentional about what it looks like from a leadership position, what it looks like from a marketing position, and then maybe if you don't have that already, look into how you can collaborate. That's what I would do.
What time do you start your walks? Because that seems to be one thing that can be very excluding to people that don't want to be up at 6 a.m.
Yeah. Facts. We do 9 to 11 for most of our walks. But for my BIPOC only walks, we mix it up a little bit, because sometimes we do Saturday, sometimes we do Sunday. On Sundays, we don't do early walks because of our church people. Right, so when I talk about marketing and being intentional, that's some of the things that we do. We know on Sunday we can't do early walk, so we'll do a later afternoon walk so we can make sure that everybody has an opportunity to come. But we start from 9 to 11. We feel like that's not too early for most people. That's a great question, actually.
Do you do any nocturnal walks?
We do owl prowls, and we do the woodcock walk, which is an evening event as well. So we do have some nighttime birding opportunities that we do too.
Hi, I'm Mary. I work here. I didn't actually need the microphone. I probably could have just done it, but my spark bird is that I used to work at the Philadelphia Zoo with Karina, actually.
Okay.
So great. And I walked past a bird I had never seen before. And so I went back to my computer and I Googled purple bird, orange butt, Philadelphia. Do you guys know what it was? No, it wasn't gritty. Good guess. No, it was a gray cat bird.
Gray cat bird.
Gray cat bird. And it turns out that that's exactly how you do bird ID, is you type in basic, colors and sizes and location, and that's how you find it. So I was pretty excited about that, and now I've seen them at lots of places, and it's good. But
it's good that you got to see the reddish-orange butt.
Oh, it was wagging its tail, too, like it had something to say to me, so I wasn't taken in.
They're fantastic. We saw so many of them today, didn't we?
That's great. I was wondering, in the years that you've been doing this, how has it changed? And does anything still surprise you about the people coming out?
I do see it changing, and I think that's because I'm in the mix of it, right? So like no longer in these traditional spaces all the time, and creating a space for us, by us all the time, right? Our monthly events, everybody is welcome. But when people come, they see a BIPOC person leading every single walk, right? So you may see people of all walks of life. You'll have allies there, but you will always see a black or brown person leading. That never changes, right? And you'll always see somebody that looks like you at the events. But it never ceases to amaze me. Like I said, every event I see hands going up, brand new birder, new, right? So I know it's spreading. I know it's growing. There are a lot of people that are starting to realize, like you and I, that, wait, we've been a birder for a long time. I've been paying attention to these birds for a long time, but being okay with talking about it. And that's what I would encourage people, is just tell your people, like, hey, it's okay. Like, nature is for everyone. Birding is for everyone, and just kind of let that out.
Any other?
Hi.
Hello.
I guess my question, it stems from, I guess, my mom's bird spark story. My dad passed away a few years ago, and the red cardinal and its symbolism has made us all in my family kind of stare at a red cardinal a little bit longer than we would typically before this happened. My question is, I guess, do you find that like certain species of birds, things like that, do bring out like a spiritual awakening with the things that you do? If you're thinking about how nature is connected and almost reclaiming a lot of indigenous relationships with nature, if you had any thoughts with that.
I do all the time, and I love that you mentioned the cardinal. My grandpa was a birder, and my first pair of binoculars came from my grandpa when he passed away. So when he passed away, they were like, oh, you got to give the binoculars to Dexter. And he's given me the best advice I've ever gotten in birding, and it was just pay attention. And that was it. Like, he would take his family out. My grandpa had 11 kids. So they would go to state parks. They would go to local parks, and they would do whatever they could do that was free. I always say, if it's free, it's me. And Grandpa would say, just pay attention. Just pay attention. What do you hear? What do you hear? And he would have his kids close his eyes, and he would do that with me when I was younger. And now to this day, every time I see a cardinal, I say, hey, Grandpa. And like, my mom always tells me, I know he's really proud of you. I know he's really proud of you because he sees your work, Dex. He understands that you're spreading this bird joy. So yes, it is very spiritual. It really does fulfill me. I always tell people, like, if your passion can make sense, like, it's just like living a life full of gratitude and fulfillment. Like, I always leave those every time I go out on a bird outing, my cup is full. Jason and I talk about like this idea of my bird joy cup just being full. And I go home, and now my batteries recharge for my kids and my wife and my students and my community. They're like, well, how do you do all this work, Dexter? And I say, well, I'm doing what I want to do, right? I'm busy, but I'm good busy. I work hard, and at the end of the day, I go home and I'm fulfilled, and I feel like I'm blessed. So it is very spiritual for me, and I do the same thing with the cardinal, and I'm always like, hi, Grandpa.
I think we have time for one more question, just so people have time to talk to Dexter afterwards. Yeah. Okay, one.
While we wait for that, Dexter, you mentioned, you told me a story this morning about something non-bird related, about the salamanders. And I know you just said you're expanding your Bird Joy podcast to include more of nature. Maybe quick story that you told me about the salamanders, how you got inspired by them. And
Any of y'all watch the show, The Americas? Have you seen it? It is fantastic. It's on Peacock. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. They go to all these different places across the Americas and just show you nature in all its glory. Long story short, it's some of the best television I've seen in a very long time. But one of the episodes had a species called the wandering salamander. And I was like, I ain't never been like a herp dude, Like, I was just like, what is this little bitty thing? And it's climbing up the redwood trees in California, right? Yeah, those. And this thing is like this big. And they don't have lungs. They like breathe through their skin. Like, this is crazy. So they're climbing up the tree, and they get all the way to the top of the tree. They're looking for a mate. And if they don't find a mate, they jump off the top of the redwood tree, and they use their little tail like a rudder, and they're like, and they get all the way to the ground, and they land, and do it again. I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. I never thought I would feel like that about a non-bird creature, except for baby goats. Oh, don't get me started. Baby goats, y'all, spirit animal, for real. Little sweaters hopping around on obstacle courses. Oh my God. I held a little baby goat that same day. I went to Iowa last month. I led a group. I led a seminar at Upper Iowa University, a bird joy seminar, and we went out herping. We found salamanders. I held my first salamander, and I told my homie, I was like, hey, I want to see a baby goat. I'm in the middle of Iowa. I know y'all got goats out here. He said, Dex, I got 80, and we just had babies. I held a 2-week-old baby goat named Big Bertha. They called her Big Bertha because she was the biggest goat. She's so cute. So I held Big Bertha, and she put her head on my chest, and she closed her eyes and stuck out her tongue. I'm smitten for Bertha. I still can't stop thinking about this baby goat. I told my wife I need 2 baby goats because you can't have only one. They need a friend. All right, so 2 baby goats. And now when I go out with my kids, not only are we looking at flowers and plants and stuff, but I'm flipping rocks and looking for salamanders.
Thank you.
I just wanted to share, people might know something really cool around here, just a couple of blocks away on Wood Street. Every October, the chimney swifts by the thousands and thousands every week.
Yes.
We go night after night, and it's September, late September. Yeah, but it's right near here. Lots and lots of chimney
Y'all
swifts
gotta go see that.
every year.
That, talk about urban birding. That would be amazing to see in the city, right? Like, yeah. Thank you all so much. This is so many amazing questions.
I do have one last thing to ask you. I know you have your book coming out. What's next? What's coming up?
Well, the book is going to be a big deal. So we're going to be working on that for quite a while. Continue Bird Joy podcast, and then launching that birding backpack program in Milwaukee. Milwaukee is the largest city in our state, and there are a lot of underrepresented groups in Milwaukee. So I want to start pouring into that city a little bit more, even though I'm based in Madison. So that's it. Really kind of focusing on the book when it launches, pouring into the podcast, and reaching more of these kids, man.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for
Thank
coming
you,
to
y'all.
Philly.
I'll be out there too, so I
also
can meet
wanna-
some of y'all out there in the wild.
As you guys are going,
Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
hello, just a second, you guys. Sorry, just one more thing. So I work for the Academy. Yay, everybody here. I work on public programs. Appreciate you so much, Barb and Naveen, and of course, Dexter. So glad to have you here tonight, and Jason. And this is a part of our Black Excellence in Birding programs. And just so you guys know, this Saturday on the 31st of May, we're doing a masquerade. And if you're interested in that, just go to ansp.org to learn more about that. And just thanks to everybody for coming tonight. Thanks so much. Yeah.